Hello, I'm Kat Curry-Williams.
And I'm Robin Radin.
And this is Wine, Women, and Chocolate.
And we're so excited because we have Andrea Quinn here today, and there's so much to say about you that I have to read it. Okay, so Andrea is a certified life and business coach, an empowerment specialist, speaker, and an international best-selling author. You're based in Los Angeles. You have more than a decade of experience. You've got this progressive approach that offers really, really interesting and original perspectives to your clients. You're direct, you're honest, you're bold. Welcome.
Thank
you so much for coming.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, of course.
So happy to be here.
Tell us everything about you.
That's right. Sometimes
we'll see.
We always start with the cheers in our fantastic She Angel Foundation glasses,
which I am very proud to be a part of as well.
Yes, we're so grateful you are.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh. That's the quietest moment you will hear of us all the time. Bold and direct and honest are great. We love that. That is why we love you so much. And there's so much to talk about what you do and how you do it. You have been instrumental in changing my life.
Oh, thank you.
As a woman, and your book we'll talk about your book, so I won't even give the title away. It's such a secret title. But let's start at the very beginning, like Robin said. Where'd you grow up?
Northern California. I'm actually a Northern Californian. I grew up in the Oakland Bay area. And so I'm a California girl. I just came south. And that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
How long ago did you come south?
I arrived here in 1996. So about 25 years now.
Is that 25 years?
That's almost, I think I was like a year after you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you came here, and what was it that brought you that said, I want to go south? Because isn't there sort of that rivalry between Northern and Southern California?
There is. I still can't accept some of the Southern California sports teams. So, just life, opportunities. I had an incredible, I met some wonderful people. They wanted me to come here. It just began to this unraveling of the life I currently had there. And then I got a divorce, which made sense for me to stay here. So, kind of was all part of the karma of it, I believe.
You got a divorce from San Francisco area.
Yes.
Okay, so
and then I came here. Yeah.
Flee, that's what I say.
Flee, run.
So I'm wondering, what in the world inspired you? Because it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing, and inspiration to want to go out there and really share so much amazing information that you have. So you're here, you're divorced. Did you come from another field that inspired you to do this field?
I've always been someone who really studied human development and psychology and everything I could get my hands on, whether it was religious studies, psychology, theology, sociology, everyology. I loved it, and so it was just a matter of needing to kind of mend my own life, create, fix your own life, and then it allowed me to want to inspire and help others, because I figured, if I could do it, anybody could. And so that's kind of how I started on the path. And plus, I was really good at telling people what to do. Like, really, really good at telling people what to do.
But 25 years ago, there weren't a lot of people who called themselves a coach.
No,
right?
well, I wasn't a coach 25 years ago. No.
So what was the what were you, and how did that transpire?
I used to be in when you're younger, you're looking for jobs.
Sure.
So back then I was just looking for jobs.
Yeah.
I was working in retail stores, and you're looking for jobs.
Yeah,
so
you're just working.
You're just working. And then I was fortunate enough to meet this woman who got me into this business that we all kind of started grassroots from the bottom, and it was a fashion and celebrity portraiture company, syndication photography.
Oh, wow.
And we had our office here, and there were 3 of us in a garage, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it kind of grew. And then years later, I remember what year it was. I think it was like 2003, I want to say. This woman came into my office and because I was really bossy. And she said, you should be a life coach. And I was like, what's that? And she says, well, let me send you an article from the New York Times. And that email changed my life. And I knew when I read it, it was one of those, I guess Oprah calls them those aha moments, you know? And I just, in my soul, I just like woke up.
Wow.
And so I started going down that road. In 2003, I started part-time, and I did it for part-time until 2006. And that's when I launched my business. But still, nobody had life coaches in 2006.
No.
Like, I was really fortunate to be on the, the precipice of something that would be very big in the future. And I've been very grateful and fortunate,
Well, you're very talented, if that's the word. You're great at what you do. And when life coaches came out about that time, not all of them stuck, because you have to be good at what you do to continue. It's like a good meal at a restaurant. Unless it's consistent over and over and people are satisfied, you don't get to stay in the business. So what you have created and helped grow, and you have workshops that I wanted you to talk about, what you've done and who you've been able to coach. I know from being coached by you and being in groups with you, word of mouth is everything.
Yes, I've been so lucky with word of mouth, and which is so funny because one time I was written up in a magazine in Beverly Hills called Hollywood's Secret Weapon, right? Well, and so one of my clients called me and said, no wonder you have no followers. You're a secret. Come out. So I was like, oh, social media. Yeah, I guess I have to do that, because word of mouth, kind people, loving people that I've been fortunate enough, they say LA is a tough town, but for me, it really has been the city of angels. And I really do believe that.
Well, in 2006 to 2015, 16, we didn't really have social media as a PR tool, let alone a somewhat free PR tool, right?
Correct.
So it was, you had to market and all kinds of things that, when you're in business for yourself, it wasn't an easy thing to do. And I'm not saying that it's easy to do now, but there's this tool that's available now that really was not available then. And especially in 2006, when you're like, I'm going to go out, I'm not going to do this part-time anymore. I'm going to do this full-time. So I imagine that must have been a little bit scary.
It was a little scary, but again, I felt really supported by the people that I was fortunate enough to know. They wanted me to help their sisters and their brothers and their bosses and their, so it just became this snowball effect. And I have to say, I feel like the main ingredient for me was I was just grateful every day. I was so just grateful every day that these people trusted me. And that was really, and it still is to this day. My room is known as the safest room in town. So.
That is amazing.
I like that. And, you're talking about Facebook. It's true. It's like tell a friend. But now you're not only telling a friend one. It's so exponential, and they're also global.
Yes.
And you're able to work globally now.
Which is why I was able to become an international bestseller, because women were able to take my classes from all countries. I had them from Australia, Argentina, Montreal, Italy, France. I mean, we had the UK. I had women from all over in the class. So that made a big difference.
That did make a big difference. And the book is called The Quinn Essentials for Women.
Yes.
And so part of your decision to go target and demographic of women, which is perfect because you were going from the safest room in town, and women especially like to have that safety so we can feel like sisters and talk with each other and all that. And so tell us how that developed, the groups, and then into becoming a book, because it was a critical unmet need, that book. To have it, I give it out, and I love that you've done that. So
thank you. Well, it's so interesting because my mother is one of 9 sisters, so I was raised with all women that really were together and a part of their lives every day and took care of each other. Even though I didn't have a sister, I just so loved the camaraderie of the women. And so it was almost like a natural thing in my DNA to kind of gather and be around a lot of women. And that's, it just, again, I really had to own my own stuff. You had to, I had 2 divorces very young. There was a common denominator in that whole thing. There's a point in your life where you've got to stop blaming people. I have a friend and she has a book out and the title of it's called Maybe It's You. It's like, maybe it's you. And so that's where I started doing my own work on me. And then I figured, okay, I get this, and I just want to teach this now. And so it began to kind of unfold. But it was,
teach what
Quinn tested, Quinn approved. So
And what year?
Teaching what you know, and this
What
is
year
true.
did you write the book?
it just came out in December of 2021.
Well, congratulations!
Yeah.
Thank you.
And an
We should
overnight
toast to
success.
that.
Thank
And
you.
an overnight success.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers.
So tell
That's
us,
incredible.
is there a little bit that you can share with us about the quintessentials for women?
Yeah, it's the 9 transformational tools to accomplish anything, and it's just a curriculum for success, I believe, for women. It is 4 tools that you do on the inside of your life, because you got to go inside and you got to look at things, and then outside. You have to go out into the world and bring it to you. And then the last one ties it together. So it's inside out, outside in, a balanced woman. And that's really what I believe is when we're balanced, we're unstoppable. It's when we're out of balance that we are at risk, whether it's our health or our mental health, our physical health. If we have no energy, if we don't know how to take care of ourselves,
Right.
and that one thing comes in, it can knock us off our axis. So
Yeah, that's a key. That is a key word to remember as a woman, to balance in anything, whatever it is. It's
hard. I mean, I'm a working mom. I work an insane amount of time.
Right.
I have 2 kids. I have a working husband. The balance piece, my friends and I laugh at. People will say, how do you balance it all? And I just say, that's hilarious, because you can't. What you do is you figure out a way to manage, as best as you can, because I don't know anyone who knows how to balance it all. But what you're just trying to do is, not be, not give enough to your kids and not give enough to your job. And, that's all you can do is try to figure that out. But I don't know anyone who actually feels like they balance it. So what would you say to all of these working moms like me who sort of feel that way?
right. Well, the only thing that was missing out of what you just described was you. So you were all about the kids and the job,
Yeah.
but there was no you. That's what
That's
I
the
would
missing
say.
piece.
That's what I would say to the moms like you. It's, you are the most, you're the director, the producer, the star of this thing called your life. This is you. And then when you kind of get that everything else is a part of you, it begins to shift. Instead of, my kids are me, my job is me, my responsibilities are me. That's not you. You're under there and you're in there screaming at her like, hey, me, And so a lot of women, they start, and I can actually, tell you what it is just by how they describe. If I say, describe your life to me, and you're not in the sentence,
Right.
it's really clear
right.
where we have to start.
and that didn't take much. She led that.
She did. I was just sitting here going, oh,
Yes.
yes.
And then the guilt that the women feel when they do make the time for themselves, oh, I'm getting a massage next Thursday. Do I really? I mean, aren't there so many things that I could be doing instead of getting that massage? And,
No.
it's the guilt.
It is why I say that I had life-altering experience after being 9 months. I took a 9-month workshop with Andrea.
You have said that, yeah.
And I said prior to that, I've been a seeker since I'm 12 years old, spiritual, and I have been, and I thought, another coach or another, but I will do this because I respected the friends that were going to her that have said that was. So I went, I can't say reluctantly, but I went like, all right, let me see what this is about. There's going to
Right.
be one thing. Well, I have been more balanced in my life, and I am included in my life, and I can't recommend it enough. I love you so much because you've really made me see something about being a woman. And then, we love men, but the woman part of it really hit home. So
Right.
this is what we, in all the things and all the teachings that I've had, I'm like, oh, that part. Gosh, I'm one of 4 sisters also. I'm the youngest of 4, and I get women and I love them and I have them, and boy, your workshop has really puts things that we never talked about. We never talk about in all the groups of women that I've been in, sisters and such. So
Yeah, thank you.
I can't believe your mom has 8 sisters.
Yeah, they did.
They just, her
And
parents
3
just
brothers.
kept, and 3 brothers. I was going to say, did they just keep trying for a boy? But,
Yeah, 3
Yeah.
brothers as well.
oh my goodness.
and usually it's the opposite. Everybody's trying for a girl.
The girl.
Right.
Right. That is, I just had to go back to that for a second because I can't even believe that. But what a treasure to have 8 aunts.
Oh, and it was interesting because then I had there were 12 altogether, my mother included, and so my father. But I had 11 aunts and uncles, if you think about it, and we were always together.
Really?
None of them had divorced, so we were always together. So
Wow.
and then now I'm just down to 2 aunts.
But
They're all still with me in my heart all the time.
So you've been able to meet all.
Oh, I spent a lot of time with all of them.
What
All
about
of them.
cousins? Just
I have
millions?
a rent a cousin service. If you have a wedding and you need people, I have a lot of them.
I can't even imagine how many cousins you must
I
have.
have a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that is really good.
Rent a cousin.
That's
You need a wedding filled?
Yes.
Well, that's impressive. That is. Better drink some water because I'm gonna.
And I would love to hear about your. You have different workshops of different lengths.
Not anymore.
Okay.
I just have. Well, the weekend workshops. Now I've honed it down to 2 days. It's a Saturday, Sunday workshop that I'm taking back out in October here in Los Angeles, and I'm thinking about New York and Austin, Texas as well. I had a lot of them set up in 2020 early.
Yeah.
And then we know what happened there. So,
LOL.
I've been doing digital.
That was the gift from.
Yes, from COVID, that
Right.
was the
Right,
gift.
it really, because then you
But
realize-
now people are like, we want to go back now. We want to see people in person.
But still, those that are global, you can reach.
Yes,
and
I'm
more.
still trying to. Yeah, I'm trying to navigate the expansion of all of that
Well,
at the
that's
same
true.
time.
There's
Yeah.
still you and balance for you.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So I'm going to be doing that. The live workshops are really experiential. I mean, so are the digital classes, but it's really fun to see the women together coming in the first day, totally terrified, absolutely sure they do not belong. And by the time the last day, I have to kick them all out.
And you do them somewhat small groups. I would consider it a small group.
50.
50, still being a small group.
For the
rather
whole
than-
weekend. It's
Yeah.
not just like pop in for 2 hours Friday, 2 hours Saturday.
No, you're there morning till evening, Saturday, and then Sunday morning until about 2 or 3 o'clock.
So it's a day and a half. And, from people that I've met that have gone to the shorter one, different than the 9-month one, they've experienced, well, the 9 months was great. There was a lot of time to do the homework.
To do the homework, right.
And, but still great experiences have come from the
Yeah.
shorter ones. And so.
And people probably, it's a lot easier for them to fit that in.
It is, and then the digital is 2 hours or 2.5 hours actually on 4 Saturdays in a row, which is kind of hard for moms because they've got soccer now and baseball. When the world opens up, you're looking at things a little differently now.
Yeah.
But that's a great option. I mean, those are really
They're
two
great
great options. And then the book is sort of a companion. 'Cause
Correct.
I love the book and
Thank you.
so much that I give it because there's always something now that I'm listening for that I didn't listen for before. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And we'll say, here, because I'm not going to be teaching it to them, but I will say, here's Andrea's book. I was just in New York, and my niece, who is absolutely brilliant and wonderful, was having a conversation that I can't quite remember, but it was like, I went up on my bookshelf and gave her the book right away. I was like,
thank
that,
you.
because that's, it's a companion, and I would like her to do the workshop. But until you do, you should run out and get the book. And when you do the workshop, you should have the book, because now you're going to want to share it with everyone you know. That's the difference
Thank you.
that you make. And so,
Yeah,
There's-
and that's why I'm really excited to get the book, because when you say there's like 9 essential, is it tools? I mean, first of all, who can't use a tool?
Right.
And then Kat, when she gets excited about something.
It's contagious.
It is.
Yeah.
It really
No, it
is. And I just think about the benefit that it could be for so many women, to just be able to say, okay, here's a guide to what I need to sort of get things back into balance, which, like I was saying earlier, is just such a tough word.
It's so hard. And and that guilt word that you said.
Yeah.
Guilt. I feel bad for taking care of myself.
Right.
When you hear a woman say that, it's kind of like it takes your breath away.
and it's DNA.
It is, but I think there is a point where you can actually shift the conversation. And when you shift it with yourself,
Yeah.
everybody else has to, because, the universe treats you exactly the way you do. It's a mirror. So when you're deciding to be really good to yourself,
Yeah.
everyone around you begins that. And then the people fall away who don't fall under that as well.
Yes.
And those terms.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, those
Because-
terms people hear, the mirror, and you hear them, but they're not practicing them, they're not putting them into action, then they're only terms and words. And so really, once you start putting them into action, it's a game changer. You're like, this is walking my talk now. And that makes you feel great about yourself. You want to share it. You get excited like I do for everyone, because if I'm not walking my talk,
That's right.
I'm not being authentic, and then
Right.
that's...
And we all have hard days. We all have those days where it's kind of like, okay. And so then I always say to myself, okay, what's missing? What tool am I not using? That's really, and then it'll show up for me. It'll be like, oh, that's when I'm, okay. And then I take a deep breath and I start moving in that direction.
Well, and I think it's also owning your bad days too, instead of, blaming,
Oh, yes.
like you were saying, maybe it's you, to just say, you know what, I had a shit day today, and it was just not my best day. And owning that, instead of it being this self-fulfilling prophecy, right, where you're just like, no one is going to let me have my own day, or let me do my own thing, or let me do this, and I really need some time by myself, but no one's going to give it to me, so I can't take it. And and then it just sort of becomes, that's what you put out there, so that's what you get back. But I do think it's really hard, like we've been talking about, for women to give themselves the permission, and then also to just own it. And just say,
Right.
having a bad day.
I have to say, I have to give, Kat has said that in a lot of different ways. If you had a bad time or a bad situation, she said, I just wanted to show up. I want to show up as my best self. I just want to pull this in, and I just want to be my best self. And even in our hard time, if we say that to ourselves, okay, today, it wasn't your prettiest moment, okay? And I always like to say too, I like to quote Marianne Williamson, who coined, if I could have done it better, I would have. Like, if women could just say that to themselves, if I could have done this day better, I would. I would do that. I would have maybe not reacted that way, or maybe I would have, but that's the best I had in that moment. And if we can get off our own back, maybe everybody else will too.
Right.
Right.
We're so critical. I mean, had to go from victim to victory, to have...
Oh, I like that.
And
That's great.
well, and the victory is your small own personal victory of calling you and saying, okay, I want to be my best self. Maybe call a friend. I sometimes will, reach out and say, okay, I know this is not... And I reach out to the person that I know will help me on that course, not to the person that will help me become of a victim.
Be more upset. Be more upset, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And that's the difference. You really have to look in those days. Now, not that that person wouldn't be great asking them another question,
Correct.
but they do not fit when they're
Right.
want to pat me on the back saying,
Not a
no,
commiserator.
No, honey. It's right. There you go.
Not a commiserator. You need
Right.
like a cheerleader.
Yeah, well, you
You
need
know?
someone to hold you to your commitment of walking your talk.
Right.
And once the commitment is out there, as you've said, once it's out there and it becomes part of your DNA by practicing it once or twice, you go like, and you really get those aha moments. You don't want to go back. That's how I feel. I'm like, I don't want to go back. Even though this is my fault today. I'm not a victim, but I have to take responsibility.
Correct.
And it happens. There's shit days left and right. And that's why I start in the morning with a good practice of, remember, with Marianne Williamson,
Right.
with opening up a page of the Quintessentials. You start with that because that helps you remember, because
She sends
Life
them to
is
me
life.
sometimes, and I'm like, I'm in a bad mood, and I'm not going to listen
yeah.
to this positivity.
I'll send that now a little bit to you, but I send them globally because I can send to friends when I've had a good uplifting something through Marianne, of Course in Miracles or whatever. I'm just beep. I can send that.
But if you hear it within yourself and then that person comes to your mind, that's the person you send it to.
Yes.
Because it's like, oh, I think she could use this today, or he could use this today.
Yes.
So
this is true. Well, so much we're getting really, this episode is going to have to be a two-parter. And I say that because Andrea doesn't just coach. She has a fabulous life. We're drinking some wine from the Loire Valley. I want to talk a little bit about your personal, about your husband, about some of your travels. Like, what does a balanced woman do in her off time? So what about that?
she does wine.
Yes, wine, women. And we do have some chocolate treats.
Yes.
So let's move.
Yeah, let's say goodbye for today, and we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Cheers.
1016 Entertainment.